Shalom, this is your brother Ma'lak. This is Hebrew Israelite Kryptonite Part 3. So these laws, they are important for us, extremely important. Of course, if you sent me a messenger, or if you sent me a messenger and I denied him, then I denied you. So of course, we have to recognize, respect, submit to Yahawah. He's the one that we used to call Jesus, and we submit to the Father by keeping his commandments. And what are these commandments? These commandments is loving the Most High, Yahawah, loving yourself, and also loving your people. So we're going to just jump right into it, and let's go to Leviticus. Actually, let's go to Exodus chapter 22, verse 22. We can't afflict any widow or fatherless child. So we have Exodus chapter 20, let me see, Exodus 22 and verse 22. Ye shall not afflict any widow or fatherless child. So afflict, when you break that down in Hebrew, and I always suggest to get some type of translator, some type of concordance to translate the English back into Hebrew. But to afflict means to look down on. So we ask ourselves, why the widow? Why the fatherless? So the widow is a woman whose husband has passed away or died. So she does not have a chief inside the home, or a father, protector. And as you notice in this verse 22, it says, or fatherless child. So we can't look down on them. We have to help them out. All right. That doesn't mean for the men, it doesn't mean to take advantage of, to have sex with, to woo them or whatever. It doesn't say to be, the commandment is not to be a friend or the best friend. It doesn't say that. It says we cannot look down on. All right. And we're going to get more scriptures and more verses when it comes to the widow and the fatherless child. So how do we know if a woman is a widow? How do we know that the child doesn't have a father? By asking questions. All right. So that is your business to know. All right. So you can ask, if they say, it's none of your business, it's none of your business. You got to move on. But you have to know who you're dealing with. It could be your next door neighbor or somebody who you work with. Ask them questions. What happened? She'll say, look, my husband passed away. So you can help them out. Give her scripture or two or a verse or two, or we want to get into other laws, maybe food or whatever else it may be, but we'll get into that. So that's that. That's Exodus chapter 22, verse 22. So it's important to ask questions. All right. It's okay. Ask questions to her or to the child. Let's go into Leviticus chapter 19, verse 9 and 10. All right, let's see, where are we? Leviticus 19, 9 and 10. And when ye reap the harvest of your land, thou shalt not wholly reap the corners of thy field, neither shalt thou gather the gleanings of thy harvest. And thou shalt not glean thy vineyard, neither shalt thou gather every grape of thy vineyard. Thou shalt leave them for the poor and stranger. I am Yahawah, your power. All right. So for the people who are new, who just learned that they are Hebrew Israelites, Yahawah, I am the Lord, as you can see there. When you translate that in Hebrew, some people pronounce it differently. I pronounce it Yahawah. It means exist or self-existing. And then it goes, I am the Lord, which means Yahawah, your God. God, like I said again, it may be different pronunciation, but God means power. Some people pronounce it as Allah or Elohim, but this is power. So he's telling you who he is, who's saying this, and this is a commandment. Anything that's commanded to us from Yahawah, the Most High. All right, he's telling you that, look, this is coming from me. All right, so so we can't. So when we're reaping the harvest in the land, so all right, so basically, with this law, it breaks down to we can't gather like all the corn that fell to the ground when we reap the harvest. So we can't take the entire field, all the fruit off the entire field. The leftover corn, we have to leave it for the poor and for the stranger. All right, we can't pick up the grapes that fell to the ground. We must also leave that to the poor. All right, so every grape we can't take. All right, so basically we say, okay, a lot of us, we don't have a field. Some of us don't have a backyard or a front yard. Some of us have concrete. All right. With this commandment, this is love. And it's breaking down poor, the poor people and the stranger. All right. So when it's talking about the stranger, what it's doing is talking about the Hebrew Israelite who doesn't know the laws, who they don't know how to act. All right. We were from a different government. Somehow we scattered, we left, and we came back to the motherland or to the Holy Land, the original Israel, whether it's what they call it Israel today or whether it's deeper in Africa or wherever. All right. The stranger is us who don't know the laws. All these laws are Yahawah's governing laws. All right. On how to act, on how to have a successful life amongst your people. Okay. So just because we don't have, or a lot of us don't have a yard, doesn't mean that this law is done away with. Okay. Now the poor, who are the poor and who are the strangers? So the poor is us. If we don't know how to plant, if we don't know how to grow our own food, we are poor. Okay. If we have to go to the supermarket to get food, we are poor. Okay. If we don't know how to grow our own food, we're poor. So what we have to do, we have to learn how to plant. We have to learn how to feed ourselves. Okay. In order for us to keep this commandment to give to our brothers, to the poor, we have to start growing our own food, our own vegetables. And yes, it's some brothers who's already doing it. Some Israelites that's already on it, that's feeding themselves. So I challenge you, women and men who knows how to feed themselves, to teach others, teach your other brothers. Okay. Give them seeds. All right. So everybody right now, start getting seeds, before they stop selling them, because most likely it's a good chance that they're going to stop. Okay. Already it's saying that you're starting to feed yourself. So I recommend everybody to get some seeds and learn, educate yourself on how to grow your own food. It's vegetables and fruit out here that we don't even know about, that we never even heard of. But when we eat from the ground, it's supposed to keep us alive. We're supposed to live longer. Okay. And also when somebody else is feeding. So for example, you say, okay, I'm going to cook tonight. You think you have the power that is you who's choosing to eat? No. It's the supplier of the food in the supermarket who's telling you that you are allowed to eat. All right. So when we are depending on the supermarket or government assistance to feed us, we are considered poor. There's a saying. How's that saying go? If you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. But if you teach that man how to fish, he'll eat for a lifetime. So I challenge all you Hebrew men, women out there to start teaching, start having little gatherings, at your house or on your block on how to seed, okay, how to plant, the type of soil, what is actually happening when you put that seed into the ground. So that's the basics. All right. So that's what I challenge everybody to do. Okay. And all these commandments, they start inside your house, your household. Okay. It starts inside your household and then it spreads. Then you can start teaching your block, your street, your neighborhood. Next thing you know, your city, the state. Next thing you know, the kingdom. The kingdom is yours. All right. So start feeding yourselves. It's extremely important. And this is scripture. This is the Bible that's saying this. All right. And that's Leviticus 19, chapter 19, verse 9 and 10. So let's go into, and I also challenge our Puerto Rican brothers and sisters, Mexicans, Jamaicans, Haitians, even the Israelites that's in European countries, Russia, where else? France, all over the world, to teach those who know how to plant and grow their own food. Start teaching your brothers and sisters on how to grow their food. All right, where to buy the seeds from. All right, let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 19 and 20. Matter of fact, let's take it down to 22. When thou cuttest down thine harvest and thy field, and hast forgot a sheaf in the field, thou shalt not go again to fetch it. It shall be for the stranger, for the fatherless, and for the widow, that Yahawah thy power may bless thee in all the work of thine hands. All right, so these three we have to give, and that's again, ask questions. This is not talking about a baby mama. This is a widow is talking about a wife whose husband has died. Okay, and the fatherless is the same. Her father or his father has passed away. All right. So we have to look out for them because they don't have, most likely, they don't have a strong a husband in the house. All right. Verse 20, when thou beatest thine olive tree, thou shalt not go over the boughs again. It shall be for the stranger, for the fatherless, and for the widow. And remember, stranger, back then we had our own land, or we had control over our own land. All right. But right now we are, and strangers basically would come back into the land. Okay. But still, they are our people. So the stranger, we still had to love them. All right. That's a commandment that we're going to get into, but we still have to look out for them because they probably don't know how to act. They don't know the laws and the commandments, but they somehow came back. All right. So we have to look out for them, hoping to restore them in their ways. Verse 21, when thou gatherest the grapes of thine vineyard, thou shalt not glean it afterward. It shall be for the stranger, for the fatherless, and for the widow. And thou shalt remember that thou wast a bondman in the land of Egypt. In the land of Egypt. Therefore, I command thee to do this thing. So what Yahawah is saying is that, look out for these people. Don't forget, you were once poor. You were once a stranger in Egypt. When we was in Egypt, we wasn't doing Yahawah's laws. Majority of us, we was doing the ways of the Egyptian. All right. But Yahawah got us out of that servitude and freed us and brought us back on the level of power. All right. Of being free, of being bosses, of being gods, not the Most High God, by being powerful. That's what I mean by being gods, by being bosses. Okay. So that's what Yahawah is saying is don't forget, you were a stranger and I still loved you. I chose to love you, and love is in action. He had mercy on us and he brought us out of Egypt. All right. So that's that verse there. It tells you, specifically, the four corners, you leave them in your field, for the poor. We're not there yet to have to have a field. A lot of us don't even have land. A lot of us don't even own our homes. All right. And we're paying mortgage on them. But we'll get into that. So that's that there. Let's get into Deuteronomy. Let's go to Deuteronomy. Let's stay in chapter 15. Let's go to verse 7. Deuteronomy 15. Chapter 15. Chapter 15, verse 7. Should we take it down to 8? Okay, yeah, let's take it down to 8. Deuteronomy chapter 15, verse 7 and 8. If there be among you a poor man of one of thy brethren within any of thy gates in thy land, which Yahawah your power giveth thee, thou shalt not harden thy heart, nor shut thine hand from thy poor brother. But thou shalt open thy hand wide unto him, and shalt surely lend him sufficient for his need, and that which he wanted. All right. So again, a lot of us don't have property. Okay. But does that mean that this law is done away with? No. All right. We have to strive for land ownership. Okay. Own your land. If you own your land, you own everything that's built upon it. Okay. You own everything that's grown on it, unless you're renting your land out. So if it's poor in your community, if it's poor, that is your brother. Give him what he needs to be successful. All right. If he needs some seed, give him some seeds. All right. Lend him a piece of your land. Not give him, lend him a piece of your land so that he can start growing his own food. All right. What if he needs, some equipment to grow his food? You lend it to him. And if you can give something to him, give it to him. That's a commandment to give to the poor. That's the law. All right. And it doesn't say you have to give money. If you have money, cool, give money. All right. But be careful because now, we have people on drugs, all types of stuff that don't know how to use that money. And that's a whole nother topic, helping him or her get clean. A lot of that is a mental issue that caused them to be an addict. All right. So yep, that's a commandment right there, to give and lend to the poor. All right. And when we do that, Yahawah will continue to bless us. Yahawah controls our destiny. He controls time. He controls whether your soil is good. All right. He controls whether or not it rains. You can praise dance all you want, but if you live in wicked and not keeping these commandments, there's no rain gonna come. All right, to bless your land. All right, and that's what we gotta learn. Praise is cool. Hey, making it rain. When I say I'm not talking, not talking about no wicked making money rain. I'm talking about actually making rain come down. All right. Yes, we have the power to dance, to praise, and be blessed by Yahawah. Okay. So that's that verse right there. And let's get into Deuteronomy. Let's jump to verse 11. Deuteronomy chapter 15, verse 11. For the poor shall never cease out of the land. Therefore, I command thee, saying, thou shalt open thine hand wide unto thy brother, to thy poor, and to thy needy in the land. All right. So there again, it's a commandment. He's repeating it. Whenever Yahawah repeats something, it's like, that's what you have to do. So what's happening is that we look out for each other. All right, no one is supposed to stay poor. Yes, you're going to have the poor, but it's sometimes it's a cycle. People are poor for a reason. It could be sin, something bad that they're doing. You know, whereas though their field is not growing, they're not able to eat. All right, but Yahawah says, look, when one person is slacking, you're slacking. You got to help them out. All right, if somebody sin, this is how it affects. This is how sin breaking these laws, and this is what the laws are. Everything I'm reading. By breaking these laws, it affects everybody because the strongest have to pick up the slack. All right. When somebody becomes poor because of sin, you got to pick it up. All right. If somebody loses their life because of sin, a freak accident happened because of something wicked they was doing. Now they have a widow. Now they have a wife that they left. And now the community got to take care of her. All right. Which is a good thing. You know, there's no complaints. It's a good thing. Now, all these commandments starts inside your house, inside your family. All right. But we're one body. No matter if we're a stranger, new to the laws. A lot of us who's looking at this video, we're strangers. We don't know the laws. All right. And there's a lot of us do know the laws and doing well. So they're not strangers. When I say stranger, stranger according to the kingdom. All right, according to the ones that's in the kingdom right now up above. You know, the ones who are actually on this earth right now as we speak, that's from up above. To them, we're considered strangers. All right. But when you reach that status of not being a stranger, but by an actual citizen, a law keeper, a lot of power is going to come to you and a lot of responsibility. All right. But these laws are good. And again, you know, if I reject Yahawah, who we formerly called Jesus, is disrespecting, is rejecting the Father. So me keeping these laws is like it's incomplete. It ain't gonna make it if I'm disrespecting the Son. All right, vice versa. I can say in the name of Jesus all I want and do the Holy Ghost shuffle. All right, I can believe in Yahawah all I want, but if I'm not acting right, which is keeping these commandments, which is loving Yahawah, you know, loving yourself and loving your people, it means nothing. So it's both. You know, if we believe in Yahawah, then we want to keep these laws. Yahawah did what his Father said to do. You know, he kept these laws he kept them basically. All right, but for us, we have to keep the ones that we're able to keep. All right, and as we read, you want to see the ones that you're able to keep, and you're going to see the ones that you're not able to keep. Okay. If I have a hoopty or a squatter that only a vehicle that only does 55, right? And I'm doing 65. I'm in a 65 miles per hour highway. My car only can do 55. Does that mean that law is done away with because my car can't do 65 in a 65 mile per hour zone? No, that law still stands. All right. And does that mean that just because I can't keep that law, I got to break all the other laws? You know, if it's a red light, I can just blow through that red light. No, we can kill somebody if I did that. So same thing with Yahawah's laws. Same thing. All right. And I feel as though it's disrespectful for anyone to say, oh yeah, we don't gotta do, I ain't doing that. I ain't doing Yahawah's laws. What? The laws are good. The laws are for you and for your people to prosper and to be successful. All right. Let's get into, so that's on food. So learn to feed yourself. All right. I'm learning. Also, I got seeds. I'm not a professional, but there are Israelites that are professional out there. Like I said, all over the world. Now, I ask that you repost this video, share it. I believe this video is probably only being showed in America unless it's shared overseas or whatever. But we have to help each other. We have to share this information. All right, let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 18 and 19. Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 18 and 19. All right. Now, this is how you're supposed to treat your brother. All right. Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 18 and 19. He doth execute the judgment of the fatherless and widow, and loveth the stranger, in giving him food and raiment. Love ye therefore the stranger, for ye were strangers in the land of Egypt. Thou shalt fear Yahawah thy power. Him shalt thou serve, and to him shalt thou cleave, and swear by his name. All right. So we're going to get into swearing and making contracts a little bit later, Yahawah willing. So what this is talking about is the treatment of the widow and loving the stranger. When they say loving the stranger, this is not talking about anybody, just a strange person. This is talking about your people who is considered a stranger, who doesn't know the laws, okay, who doesn't act right, okay. And a widow, we went over what the widow was, and we know what the fatherless is. So, and there's another verse that precepts this verse here, and that verse is basically Yahawah hears their prayers, the fatherless, widow, and a stranger. So if we do them wrong, trust me, we may have a bad day. All right, that's going to be coming to us. All right, we don't just get judged when we pass away. We're getting judged off of every single decision that we make. Okay, and yes, Yahawah is merciful when he wants to be merciful. When he doesn't, he doesn't. All right, so the reason why we got to be careful, because these people are weak. It's like they're blind. A stranger. So a stranger, okay, for the Israelite, we would consider, like, for example, the Christians. We call them Christians. We are the true Christians, because we follow Christ, the Messiah, and we keep the laws. But the religious, they are considered like the stranger. They are people, but they're like blind. A lot of them don't know how to control their money. All right. A lot of them don't know how to grow their own food. They don't know about marriage, what a marriage is in Yahawah's eyes. So they are kind of like they are the strangers. All right. And a lot of them want to do well. Believe it or not, a lot of those religious people, churchgoers, they want to do well, but they've been bewitched, and we're not allowed to take advantage of them. Okay. Verse 20. So Yahawah is saying, it's him who's saying this. So this is serious. It's serious. All his commandments is serious. But when he's mentioning his name, trust me, follow it. Follow all of them. But definitely pay attention to when he's saying, look, is Yahawah who's speaking. He's all, he's giving all these laws, but definitely be careful. All right, let's go to Exodus chapter 22, verse 21. Genesis, Exodus for the new believers. Exodus is the second book in the Bible. Exodus 22, 21. Exodus 22, 21. Okay, it's 22, verse 21. Thou shalt neither vex a stranger nor oppress him, for ye were strangers in the land of Egypt. All right. So what Yahawah is saying is that don't make a stranger angry as far as doing him wrong. Don't cheat. Don't jip a stranger, a new believer. All right. Or I'm not going to say a new believer, a Israelite who's just learning how to act. And it says, don't oppress him. Oppress him means make him low, make him poor, cheating him or her in business, okay, or taking advantage of them in any way, okay. It's wicked and it's a sin, and you will pay for it. Whether you're taking advantage of a woman who's a stranger, that's your people, or a man. So this is your warning right now to any Israelites out there. Okay, who are in a position of power. Be careful. All right, this is your warning. This is your warning from Yahawah. I'm just a messenger. This is scripture. For ye were strangers in the land of Egypt. So Yahawah is saying you were strangers yourself. All right, you once act like those religious people who, in the church every Sunday. Well, not now because the government shut them down. But you were once there, uneducated, unknowledgeable on how to act. Okay? You were once not presenting good works. All right? So Yahawah said, but I have mercy and I looked out for you. So just like he looked out for us, we are to return the favor and look out to the rest that's lost. Okay? Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 7. Let's flow through verse 1. Let's go verse 1 through 4. Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 1 through 4. Deuteronomy chapter 7. Okay, verse 1 through verse 4. When Yahawah your power shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and have cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites, and the Girgashites, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. Wow, I wonder, how did that happen? How did they get mighty? Who is their power? And when Yahawah thy power shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughters thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son, for they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods, other powers. So will the anger of Yahawah be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly. Okay? So what this is talking about is you cannot marry these 7 nations. If you don't know who these 7 nations are that I listed, the way you can tell who they are is by their actions, discerning their spirit. Okay, the spirit is what illuminates them. But if you know these laws, you'll be able to discern, understand what spirit they have, if they have the spirit of holiness. Okay? So this is what he's saying. He's saying because if you marry them, you may think you can change them. It says it right here. It says if they're from, this is a different breed right here. Don't play around. Don't try to marry them. Or be careful, protect your heart. When I say protect your heart, your emotions, people call it falling in love. The way you know these people is by their actions. All right, they don't love Yahawah. They will turn you away. And also the commandment is don't let your sons and daughters. So that means you got to control who your son and daughter marry for their own good. For their own good. You are the parent. Okay, and it starts when they're young. The protection. Fathers, protect your daughters. Okay, mothers, you help the father protect your daughter. Be up in whatever, be up in their phone, social media, know the passwords. You have to teach them. That's what you have to do nowadays. All right, mothers, you should be sitting in there with your daughter. What, door closed? No, chill in there with them. Door open. All right, protect. All right, and I'm not saying, oh yeah, you gotta choose whatever. When is that time? She'll know who to choose. Your daughter, your son. All right, they'll know who to choose. They'll know who loves Yahawah, but you have to guide them. And you have to help them choose properly. Okay. So that's that. So according to Yahawah, we're not supposed to just be marrying everybody. And the reason why, because there's some nation like these 7 will turn you away, will cause you to go back into servitude, slavery, a bad, horrible life. How do we have a bad, horrible life? When we turn against Yahawah, when we stop doing his commandments and laws. Okay? And yes, their spouse has the power to turn them away from Yahawah. All right? Just like King Solomon. We'll get into that. His problem wasn't the 500 wives. That wasn't it. King Solomon wasn't the normal. He wasn't a normal man. All right? That brother, that man had some power. But where he messed up is right here. He broke these laws. And what it caused him to do, we would call it going crazy. But he went off. And he started following different powers. He got too smart. He got too smart for himself. All right? And I'm not saying this in disrespect to King Solomon. I'm just saying what it is. He messed up. He sinned and he paid for it. All right? And we are paying for it because of him. All right? But, it's all good. Time's almost up. So we have that. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 15, verse 1 to 3. Deuteronomy chapter 15, verse 1 to 3. At the end of every 7 years, thou shalt make a release. And this is the manner of the release. Every creditor that lendeth aught unto his neighbor shall release it. He shall not exact it of his neighbor or of his brothers. I'm sorry, I'm just kind of hard with this angle. Brothers, because it is called the Lord's release. Of a foreigner thou mayest exact it again. But that which is thine, which thy brother, thine hand shall release. And we're going to get into the laws, into the seasons. But what this is talking about is that we cannot put interest on our brother, on our people, on our fellow Hebrew Israelites. All right? And if you're new, if you're just coming to truth, who are the Hebrew Israelites, the ones who fit the curse of Deuteronomy 28. We'll be shipped on ship. We'll build a nation that's not our own, build houses that we won't live in. That was prophecy. All right. Hanging on trees. That's prophecy. We fit that curse. Who? So-called African Americans, many of the so-called Africans, so-called Puerto Ricans, Mexicans, I don't know if I said Jamaican, Haitians, Colombians, all over. I mean, you got me in France. You got people who have no melanin who are what we call white, that are really Hebrew. So you can't always tell by skin color, but yes, skin color is an indication. The way you can tell is by the spirit. How can you discern the spirit? By knowing these laws. Someone who doesn't have the spirit cannot love the Hebrew. It's just not possible. I don't believe it's possible. Someone who doesn't have the spirit of the Most High, which is the Holy Spirit, are not able to love the Hebrew. Okay, the Hebrew Israelite. That's how you can tell and discern. All right, actions in a way you can discern it by watching and listening. That's how I can tell if somebody. Because don't be fooled by skin color. Trust me. Yes, it is an indication, but nah, can't tell. So you can't always go by that. All right. So let me see. Is that? Oh, okay. Yeah, and also too in this verse, the foreigner. We can put interest on a foreigner. We cannot put interest on our brother. Interest is basically tacking on extra money. If your brother is borrowing from you, obviously they don't have something. They lack it. So that's wicked to make them pay you back more. All right, and it's a sin, and it's evil, and it's not right. So you cannot have your brother pay you back more than what he borrowed. All right. And for the stranger, the foreigner who are not an Israelite, yeah, you can lend to them. But you shouldn't be borrowing from that. It's a sin. You should be the one who has it. Why should you be borrowing from a foreigner that's not an Israelite? All right. Yahawah didn't intend you to do that. It didn't intend for you to do that, to have to borrow. You should be the one that's lending. And if you do lend, you are allowed to put on it, to stack interest on it. All right. And that's a law. These are all laws. This is what we have to do. These are things that we cannot do, and these are things that we can do. All right. So let's stop there. And again, I just encourage anyone who knows how to plant, who knows how to feed themselves, to teach your fellow Hebrew Israelite. Start at home, start on your neighborhood, make videos while you still can. Share it to the world. And I'm calling out to all the other brothers in other countries, especially the Mexican brothers. As far as what I've seen, a lot of you Mexican brothers, I think from the tribe of Asher, you brothers can plant. You know how to plant and grow and tend the ground. So, help us out. Help out your brothers and sisters. All right. And and control who your children marry. Be in their lives. All right. Be in their lives. You have to. That's a commandment. Because that sin is going to fall on you. Okay? If they marry somebody who turns them against Yahawah and they live in reckless. All right? The power is in these laws. These laws connect us to Yahawah. This is how you love Yahawah. By loving your people, by doing these laws, by loving yourself. All right? So, everybody, shalom. For your, the newbie, shalom means peace. Peace to you, brothers and sisters. And until then, I'll see you with part 4. And this is how you keep the Hebrew Israelite poor. By feeding them. By feeding them and not teaching them how to feed themselves. All right. And making them think that they're feeding themselves. By giving them fake plastic fish. That's what's happening. You're getting fed plastic fish. And they're making us believe that we are the ones who's providing this fish because we're working our butts off and buying it from the supermarket. No, they're feeding us. They're still feeding us. All right. So we have to learn how to feed ourselves. All right, brothers and sisters, until next time.